Breaking news at 10. A Shelby County club closed down. Deputies say it was really a front for drug dealing and using. The DA says it's a public nuisance. A judge ordered it closed.
The place is called Imbibrios on Navy Road, just outside of Millington. Kelly Hessedall is there live with all the details. Kelly.
Sports bar is shut down tonight. Shelby County authorities basically calling this place an open drug market where folks could come here and shop for drugs like Xanax, Loratab, marijuana. Now, in this particular case, they say the owner wasn't looking the other way. They say he was actively involved in selling drugs as well as using them. Now, that owner, Thorne Peters, had a lot to say as deputies hauled him away in handcuffs. Take a listen. They say you were selling.
I've never used drugs in my life, so I will take a right now. I want to have a polygraph. I want to right now. $1 million blunt hunt, the violent crime capital of America, people. This is what you get for your tax dollars. Not a blunt, not a joint, not a gram, not a pill. Just $1 million worth of cops and nothing to show for it. That's why we're in the violent crime capital, kids. America's dumbest police force at work.
Now, Peters and two of his employees now face felony drug charges. They were arrested and hauled away down to 201 Poplar. Authorities began investigating Imbibrios back in November. Undercover officers say they made several drug buys since then. They found marijuana stashed in several places.
It was very open. There were observed uses of drugs within the establishment, right among the tables. Rather flagrant and rather blatant.
The DA's office tonight declaring this spot a public nuisance and issuing a warning to all club owners.
You should assume you're being watched. And if you're looking the other way and allowing illegal activity to occur on a regular basis, or if, as in this case, you're actively involved in that illegal activity, you can expect there's going to be a price to pay.
And this place will stay shut down at least until a court hearing on July 23rd. That is where Thorne Peters, the owner, will have a chance to answer to some of these allegations. Meanwhile, sheriff's deputies say there are other warrants out there, so we can certainly expect more arrests to be coming.
A man accused of using his bar to sell drugs was arraigned on charges of drug dealing this morning. Thorne Peters, who calls himself the Hollywood Kingpin and claims to be a prophet.
Steve Peters is being held on $200,000 bond while he tries to get an attorney. Locals near the Millington bar in Breezios say that not only Thorne was a big drug dealer, but a strange guy who wrote books about Elvis and women and called himself the Kingpin. On his website at thornpeters.com, Peters claims to be everything from a prophet to producer to hedonist, as well as poet laureate of planet Earth and author of books about women and Elvis. Ian Occo says he also claimed to be a porn star.
It's a character, a real character. He walks around here with a robe and stuff on like he's Hugh Hefner or something.
On his weblog, he says he'll organize the first ever National Day of Consent for marijuana smokers on April 20th of 2010 and will report to 201 Poplar with a blazing blunt in his mouth. Peters was scheduled to return to court on August 4th so he can get an attorney. He's facing felony drug charges along with two others that were arrested with him. His bar in Breezios remains closed by the DA's office after filing a public nuisance action.
Thorne?
Yes, I am.
Hey, it's Ashley.
Hi, Ashley. How you doing, sweetheart?
Good.
Hey.
Did you get my thing I left with Sherry last night?
What did you leave with Sherry last night?
My note.
Oh, I surely did. I surely did.
Months after he was charged with using his Millington nightclub to sell drugs. Part of the case against self-proclaimed Kingpin Thorne Peters was dismissed this week.
Now Peters is calling out those who put him behind bars for nearly 2 years for what he says was no reason. Action News 5's Jason Miles has the interview you'll see only on 5.
Prophet, author, publisher, composer, troubadour. Former club owner Thorne Peters cites many interests on his website, including his affinity for marijuana.
I am a pot smoker. I love smoking pot with smoking hot women.
I spoke with Peters hours before his release from 201 Poplar.
I'm one of 25 million pot-smoking Americans.
Just this week, prosecutors dropped felony drug charges against Peters because they did not believe there was enough evidence to proceed, something Peters believes they knew all along.
There's been enough money spent on my case, including the 9-month-long sting operation and this 19-month wrongful incarceration and malicious prosecution, to have built a wing at a school, to have built a homeless shelter.
Peters is still facing misdemeanor charges for marijuana possession.
They are going to impanel a jury at a great fortune to you, the taxpayers, to try to cover their political bacon.
Through his spokesman, current County Mayor Mark Luttrell said, quote, "This is still a pending case and it would not be appropriate to offer an opinion." The DA's office said the same, while an email to Bill Gibbons, who is Tennessee's new public safety commissioner, was not returned.
His club was shut down. The DA called it a public nuisance, a place where folks did and sold drugs. But when it was time for the club owner to go to trial, most of the charges were dropped, except one, a misdemeanor marijuana charge. Not only has the misdemeanor pot case gone to a jury, Thorne Peters, who calls himself a kingpin, is representing himself in court. Our Tom Powell is live to tell us how Peters performed as his own lawyer. Tom?
Well, Richard, at times the judge and Peters went back and forth in frustration, but the self-described pot-smoking hedonist seemed to take his role as defense attorney seriously.
On the day we were to go to trial, they dropped the case.
Meaning he spent all that time in jail, and all that's left is the misdemeanor marijuana charge he's on trial for. Prosecutors laid out their case, that Peters handed over a bag of pot to an undercover informant. Peters is representing himself, still in his jail clothes, even though he's no longer behind bars.
So why this attire? I'm still a prisoner while this goes on, because my life is being held hostage.
Thorne Peters, wearing surgical scrubs and Mardi Gras beads, is representing himself in court.
Yeah, so just pick one. Are you corrupt or are you incompetent?
At times, the judge did seem frustrated.
You may represent yourself. You have a constitutional right to do so, but you have to conform yourself just like any attorney. I'm not going to have you snapping back.
But Peters pressed on, trying to show a lack of evidence. No wires, no fingerprints, no video.
In the end, we only have Ms. Egan's word that a drug sale was made. Yeah. Okay, but what about the law? What about my rights? What about the Constitution? I mean, you're practically becoming an accomplice. Okay, well, just answer this. How low are you willing to go to cover up for their crimes?
In court, he played to the camera. I had to ask him about that.
What, if anything, is this? I can't tell. See? And I'm not going to tell. We'll just never know for sure, will we?
You won't tell me what's in there?
No, are you kidding? I have to take it.
You investigated my club for 9 months to discover I smoked pot. You couldn't figure that out the first day you went to the club. We smoked pot in there every day. They didn't come and arrest me for smoking pot. They planted evidence, they falsified reports, they committed and suborned perjury to make it look like I was a drug dealer. And now their house of cards is folding on them.
As for him, this is what the case comes down to.
Who are you most outraged at? The pot-smoking hedonist who loves smoking pot with smoking hot women, or the state who has gone about spending an unbelievable amount of tax dollars